All right, it's Brian Powell and AJW here. We've been out for the better part of a couple days, and
we certainly have.
It's been a great Statesmas.
It's been an incredible Statesmas. Incredible. Thanks a lot for letting me share it with you.
Oh, it's wouldn't have it any other way. Unless, of course, you were running, but
well, yeah,
that's next year.
Exactly.
So, if you had to give up running at Western States one year, this was the year to do it. It's
no. To have a chance to run Western States in the rain, to have a chance to run Western States in the rain and with 75 degrees at the river crossing, I wish I was out there.
But since you weren't,
I got to watch it, and that was incredible.
Put this in perspective. Where is, I mean, not just for Western States, but our sport. What is the 2012 Western States 100 with all the course records?
Well, as a true champion of this event, I'm thrilled at what it does for the event, because the race as it unfolded in both the men's and women's race was I mean, maybe it's cliche or hyperbole in some context, but was kind of one for the ages. When you think of what Timothy Olsen did, you know, beating Jeff Rowe's incredible course record by 20 minutes and doing it on the original traditional course in a way that was almost textbook was incredible, and yet it's really the second best performance that I saw here, and that's no disrespect to Tim and what he did, because Ellie Greenwood ran a race that I didn't think, I honestly, and I've been a fan of this sport and this event for my adult life, I didn't think that kind of run was possible.
She rewrote the history books.
She rewrote the history books. I mean, it's, and maybe in a kind of Bob Beamon long jump way, or a, you know, I don't know what other sport comparison you might make, but
Roger Bannister.
Roger Bannister could be, because it was just astounding, and she had that game face on, and it was it was game over for all the other women, but it was incredible performance.
And it's incredible to have those two records, and after the first half of the race, both of them were not in the lead at different times.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, you remember that when we were out there, and we only started thinking about it at Forest Hill, and we took the piece of paper out and we're looking at it and doing math in our head, which was kind of pretty stupid, actually, to liberal arts guys doing math in their head, but we did it. And you know, I kind of looked up at you and I was like, oh look, Tim's 1 hour, 1 minute on course record pace, and really? No, you know, and then Ellie's time, and we were driving around and doing the math, and this could be tracing. Yeah. No. And you didn't believe me.
I just wanted to make sure before I put that out there we were all good. But yeah, I mean, you know, we were at Devil's Thumb, mile 47, and we were like, Lizzie's still in the lead.
Yeah.
We were wondering if Ellie was going to catch her, and I mean, Ryan Sands had a lead in Cal Street.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think both of those pieces, well, Ellie at Devil's Thumb, she came through so confidently. And, you know, it's very difficult to look good at the end of that climb. And she looked good at the end of that climb. And so you had a sense that she was stalking Lizzie and that something was going to happen there through one of the next two canyons. With Timothy, you know, coming up there in the threesome of Mackey and Wolf, it was, and they all looked, I mean, they climbed it well. They climbed it with authority. But it was, to me, in my view of it, it was anybody's race at that point. Absolutely anybody's race. And the fact that 3 guys are on the scale at the same time and they're in first place, that's unheard of.
And there were still 3 guys right behind them.
There are 3 guys right behind them.
Yeah. That's just.
And Sands on Cal Street. I mean, I think that the story within the story is the Cal Streets those guys did. You know, I think it ended up being 2:13. A 2:13 Cal Street. Morton and Anton and Killian did 2:18, and those were the kind of seminal Cal Streets. These guys did 2:13. I ran out to see them both a couple hundred yards out, and they came through like they were just on a run in the park, and they'd run 77 miles. It was incredible.
Yeah, and then we're doing all this talking about those guys. Dave Mackey.
Yeah. Well, the grand old man of Western States now.
Now, yeah.
You know, that Masters course record has gone from 1717, which was Tweetmeyer's from 2001.
Something you were thinking about.
I had it in my head. Tsuyoshi Kaburagi coming here not once but twice to throw that down. And then this. What was it, 15, 18 minutes? Dave Mackey running smart all day. It was great Dave Mackey conditions, nice and cool, a little moisture. I mean, it was, watching him dismantle that course record was really inspiring for an old guy like me.
Yeah. You have all these great names that were coming in the sport in both the men's and women's field, but the back half of the top 10 on the men's side were, you know, newer names, or you know, not the hallmark names of the sport. Like, what does that mean to the sport to have just incredible times all day, be at half the top 10?
Yeah,
is sort of fresh blood.
It's fresh blood. Well, I have to tell you that I think it's a true confirmation that the Montreal Ultra Cup, that's now 10 years old, it's working. Let's say that it's working. If a significant goal of the Montreal Ultra Cup races is to encourage people to compete and to bring together the most competitive fields and to give those competitive field participants a chance to get a spot here, it's that's part one that works. What we saw today is those guys who are getting the spots here are then making them pay. They're delivering.
Yeah.
You know, they are delivering. So whether it's Zeke Tiernan or Dylan Bauman or Jorge Maravilla or who would be the fourth?
Joe Yuhan.
Joe Yuhan. I mean, those are four guys who wouldn't have been here without the Montreal.
And they got in
Cup.
through third place.
And they got in through, yeah. And that, to me, that's a big thing for this sport. Now, I think we also shouldn't underestimate Nick Clark's race. You know, Nick Clark, who, you know, has been third and fourth and was third yesterday. It's important not to ho-hum, there's another Nick Clark on the podium, because he was back and not looking that great at Devil's Thumb. And he had a second half. You know, I don't think it was course record pace by any means, but he was running that powerful race that says to me, you know, that top 10 stress and tension, it's alive and well. And it was also fun for me, by the way, to run out and run a little bit in with all those guys, especially Neil Gorman, my good friend, who has M10 on his back for next year.
The new AJW? The
new AJW.
Maybe he needs a couple more of those first.
And as Scott Wolf said, 25 more pounds.
Yeah. So, obviously competition, the Montreal Ultra Cup, all that had a part in the really amazing times yesterday. But what about the weather?
Yeah, well, I think the weather was the most single greatest factor yesterday. And while many of the runners talked about how cold it was, you know, between the start and Robinson Flat, I mean, the conditions that they got to run in for the last 70 miles, we may never see here again. And in that way, you know, the planets lined up for this group. And while I don't mean to suggest that it undervalues the performances, because they were incredible, and you take what the race day gives you. But I think any Western States veteran, myself included, given a chance to run in conditions like this, oh my gosh, you'd be drooling. And at the end of the day, for me personally, that was kind of the hardest thing about not being here and running this year.
Yeah. So where does it go from here? I mean, I'm just thinking ahead to next year's Western States.
Well, as we talked about in our chat on Thursday night, I think that while this is a great indication of what's going on in the sport, it's also a really strong endorsement of this race as an important event, notwithstanding the competition, but also because of the competition in the sport. And people look at this event, people care about this event. Certainly people have their criticisms of it, and it's not a perfect event. There's work to be done here. But there's a lot of energy around it. There's a lot of excitement around it. And I think what it means for the future of Western States is that you take something as noteworthy as Ann Trayson's course record being broken after 18 years, and you say, you know what, this is what's happening in ultramarathon running right now. What does it mean? And then you take what the answer is to what it means, and I'm not sure I have the answer. I'm not sure any one person should have the answer, and you build on that. And I think as the leadership transition takes place in this event, as race directors and other races begin working with one another, as the Montreal Ultra Cup continues to evolve, as the new schedule came out today that's going to introduce some different events, I think it will continue to be something that will hopefully, as you said in your piece last night, it unified the course record here, which was, I think, a really important thing to happen. We're now moving towards unifying the sport under perhaps some common umbrella, but it's going to take time.
Certainly. What different perspective do you get on the race from not running, being at the aid stations, being around the course, but not racing? What did you see about the race?
Yeah, well, I definitely, as a runner, take for granted the infrastructure that goes into this thing. From the start line to the finish line, to the aid stations. I'd say the highlight for me in that regard, and the most eye-opening aspect of it, was seeing the river crossing and seeing what goes in to the creation of that opportunity that people blow through in 2 or 3 minutes, and the crew down there spends days figuring out how to make it just so for the runners, year after year after year, for runners to just simply walk across a river at mile 78 in the most iconic 100-miler in the United States. And so what I saw as a spectator this weekend was just something that was amazing, and that as much as I have passion for this event, these people who've been aid station workers for 25 years have that same passion, if not more passion. And every runner that comes through, from Tim and Ellie to Jose and Chifeng at the end of the day, they're about making it the best experience for those runners, and they do an incredible job here.
Yeah. Well,
there it is.
We have 364 days. So I see you again.
All right. We'll see you, Brian. This was a
blast.
blast.
I'll see you again at Western States.
Absolutely.